plugin of the week is the brainworx BX Pan EQ. This is an interesting new EQ that I think is really revolutionary because there's nothing else that's even remotely like this. Now, this is a stereo EQ, and part of what makes the stereo-ness of this EQ is the fact that you can actually apply an EQ within a specific pan position within a mix. Now, this is obviously a great tool for mastering. It's a great tool where you have stems and you have a problem within it. I have here a multi-track mix, and within the context of working with, for example, overheads, where you may have one cymbal that stands out more than others, or a cymbal that doesn't quite come out enough, then what you can do is you can actually start to apply EQ in the positions where those particular cymbals occur. And what ends up happening as a result is that by doing this, it allows me to kind of have some control, a level of control that I wouldn't normally have with a standard EQ. Now, when you work with a standard EQ in stereo, what happens is the signal is applied obviously equally to the left and right. If you work in a multi-mono fashion, or where you have separate left-right control, the EQ not only affects the left signal, it affects everything left to center, and the right side affects everything right to center. So you're affecting the full field across up to the center. What the pan EQ does is it allows you to position your EQ not only in a frequency spectrum, but in a specific pan position. So it applies the EQ within that pan position, and you have some control, another measure of control as to how you actually set that up. So when you set it up, you have 3-band EQ. You could see the pan EQ here. So as I sweep it around, you'll see a movement. The scale runs from 40 hertz up to 20K, but the way that it's actually scaled here, it runs 40 to 900, and then from there to 2.1K, and then from there it kind of runs all the way up. So you could see it's kind of a little more focused on higher frequencies. You have a display here in the center, and you could see a little bit of activity here. This is noise artificially being generated by plugins that have little extra noise artifact built into them. And what you'll see on this display is a graphic showing you the audio spectrum. And it can be displayed in color or in black and white. So as we pass audio through it, you'll see it. So you'll have frequency response vertical, not left to right like a normal EQ. You have pan position, left and right. Your gain control is on a separate thing, and it will display here in the screen. So for example, if I'm on the multicolored display, what'll happen is as in black, or a light color would be low level, and it will get progressively red through orange up to yellow, and yellow would be the loudest level. And so what you could see is peak signals as they occur. So let me just feed a little bit of signal into it just so you can see that. So this is just a looped area where there are some cymbals that we're going to work on. And what you can see on the display here is that it can be set two ways. So if you set the display all the way to the right here, it'll show you frequencies sort of with their pan position more or less intact. And if we tighten it up here, it'll show you more of the density characteristics and the way that they appear. So you can set this anywhere in between. This is just a display speed, so that'll slow it down, give you a little bit more of an average, and maybe make it a little bit easier and more condensed to see. So you can kind of come up with any way that you want to work. So let's start by just grabbing an EQ and kind of working with it. To start off with, I'm going to create a boost. Now what's interesting about the boost here, and you can kind of see the energy all of a sudden leaning into this direction as I shift this, and I'll explain how that works. Now, when you actually push this, what ends up happening is it's a proportional cue, very much like an API EQ. So the cue gets narrower the more you boost or attenuate, same type of thing. You do have a cue control. Now, if you look here, what you can see in this little area on the left is a green line here. So as I adjust the cue, you will see that widen or narrow based off of the cue width, based on the center frequency. But as I boost more, you'll see how it focuses more, and as I sweep more towards a center position, you could see how wide it gets, and that shows you the proportional cue aspect of it. So I'm going to kind of set an area here, and I can also solo up the band so I can see what area it is that I'm working in. Now, I have a cue control, and I have a pan control, so I can pan my signal left, right, accordingly here. So I can find, for example, a symbol there. I can sweep my frequency here, so I have controls here, or I can just drag that around in the display to kind of find where I'm looking for. The one other aspect here that's different is the focus control. So as I sweep the focus here, if I put the focus all the way to 0, it becomes a full left-right EQ that works across the spectrum, regardless of my pan position here. If I actually sweep it all the way this way, then it narrows the area of its effect. And depending upon where you position this, you could see that this would make it a discrete left EQ. And this would be different from doing like a mid-side EQ, where a mid-side EQ, you would also be affecting the far right signal, and there would be a progressive, depending upon how much information is pulled as mid versus side, you would get some progressive scaling of the energy away from there. This allows you to EQ just on one side without affecting the other, so it's different than a mid-side EQ as well. So let's start and see if we can and find this. Now, what I'm going to do here is I put it on the stem. I'm leaving the overheads in the mix. So this would sort of be an example where you had maybe a stereo mix of drums, and we want to focus on some particular symbols. And this way you can kind of see how it affects the particular symbols, and we can kind of isolate the EQ to kind of affect that without necessarily screwing up the rest of the drums. All right, so there's a symbol on the left. It's sort of in a mid-pan position, somewhere around here. So I'm going to find it and find a general frequency. So what I've done here is I've now localized this EQ here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back. I'm going to pull my gain back here, and then we can kind of focus this. So right now it's as focused as it can be. So this is without it. So it's that crash symbol on the left. So you could see how I was able to lessen that pretty significantly. And if you notice, it's not really affecting a lot of the other instrumentation, like the snare or anything. And it helps me to kind of extract that out a little bit. Now, there's another section here, I believe it's in the chorus, where there's a similar symbol here. And what's an issue here with this symbol, if I grab on here and I can pull out, so what I've done here on this section is I have 3 filters here, different color, green, blue, and white. And so we can turn those on and off, and we can actually solo them individually. So if I solo this, I can focus on, and let me just kind of focus on. And so there's a particular annoying frequency. Oh, wrong. And so what I wanted to do is kind of shift the cymbal hit to a less annoying frequency. So I'll take this out of solo here. me just kind of... So this is focused just on the left side, so you could hear on the right side, excuse me. So I can tone that down. Helps if I have my gain set right. So I'm gonna cheat here a little bit. I'm gonna push my cymbals up a little bit more in the mix here. So let me see. There we go. So you can hear how that limits that, and then I have that kind of really focused over to the right. Now, I could take my final EQ, because if you just think of it as removing something, I can actually find a frequency in there that actually gives us a little bit more, that gives us a little bit of a lower frequency that kind of ride kind of pings on, so it's not so pointed, a little bit less, so I can pan that again, keep my focus. So here is without. Let's go back to the beginning. And with. Without. And then, of course, you know, this allows you to work in those specific things to kind of pull out, you know, and work in those, you know, very tight areas and focus your work. And of course, I can also take the focus and I can kind of bleed it out a little bit. So here you could see that it starts to bleed more of this out towards the center as I raise the focus. And if I am closer to the middle here, it'll kind of push a little bit more towards the middle. And that's how you kind of set your range. So you can kind of work within, you know, the different bands and kind of move them around. A really powerful tool if you kind of get the gist of what it's doing. Very unique to work within a specific pan position, and a very cool tool. And revolutionary one from brainworx. They're good at doing that type of stuff, bringing out really cool, very precise, and revolutionary products. So hats off to this one, because it's really a powerful, unique tool that I think should be part of everybody's toolkit. I'm already thinking like a million places where I could have used this in previous sessions. So that's it. That's the plugin of the week, and that's the brainworx BX Pan EQ. And that's brought to you by the Plugin Alliance.